This is one of my pastel sets. I have a lot of these at home. I have different ones. I bought this on eBay. They were made in Germany, and they're 120 years old. And how long 120 years is? A long time. If these were paints in the tube, they'd be dry by now. You couldn't use them. But I can still use these after that long. In fact, some of the colors get even better after they set for a while. Nobody knows why. Pastels, that color is made from dirt. It's made from ground up dirt. It comes from Italy. It's called umber. And they use it with a little bit of chalk, a little bit of talcum powder, just like baby powder, wallpaper paste, and water. Somebody made this by hand 120 years ago, and I can still use it. Just like it was made yesterday. This is a small set of colors. Usually when I do pastel work in my studio, I have about 600 different colors that I can choose from. But when I go outside to draw, I usually take these. And a very special set of these. They look like fudge. Most pastel sticks are round, like what you've seen before, but these are really special. There's a woman in New York, her name is Diane Townsend, and she makes these by hand. She doesn't use a machine. And she uses volcanic pumice when she makes them. So they have a little bit of roughness to them. These are really expensive. I try not to use them up too quickly. I use them on the top of the painting mostly. But she's the only person in the world that has the secret recipe that these were made like 600 years ago. They first started making them this way 600 years ago in Italy. She's the only one that knows how to make them. I've tried to make them the way she does, but they don't turn out the same way. And she won't tell me how to do it, so. Most of the paper that I use is special pastel paper, and I use the same type of powdered volcano rock, lava, and I mix it in with acrylic medium. And it feels a lot different than your regular smooth paper, and I roll it on with the paint roller. You can pass this around and feel it.
Pepper.
Yeah. It's just regular paper on the other side. The other side is what it's like before I put the coating on.
It is.
The reason for that kind of paper is it holds more color. You ever notice when you color with even crayons or anything like that, it doesn't take very long, and then the surface, they just sort of slide and they don't make any color anymore? With that kind of paper, you can keep drawing on it and you can still get the color marks. This is a monoprint with a pastel done on top of it. Has anybody in here made a monoprint?
Yeah.
You take paint and you paint it on a piece of plastic and you put paper on top of it and you rub the back of the paper?
I've done that.
Yeah. That's what I did with this. I used black tempera paint and monoprint medium, which is the same thing as finger painting medium. You can mix tempera in. Just like you would use the classroom in a school. I got it at the school supply place. I put the paper down the back and I just rubbed it. And I got two images. The other image I just left black and white, but this one they call it Ghost. And it just has traces of what the original image looked like. So I used that as a place to start out. Now the scene is Yankee Hill. Does anybody know where Yankee Hill is? Okay. It's really pretty out there by Pioneer Park. I go out there and I do a lot of sketches of everything. This is Yankee Hill. And this is one I'm going to be using to demonstrate from today.
No, Dylan.
Now, I go outdoors and do a lot of drawing and sketching. I don't take all this with me. I don't take the big board or anything. I usually just take one of these and my sets of pastels. When I paint outdoors, I start out with plain white paper, which is really fun to work on. And I'm sort of really messy when I do it. But I go out and I make some small sketches like that sometime. And sometimes I use a full page.
I think.
When the weather's really nice, some days I make 5 or 6 of these every day.
I saw one that looked like it was raining.
I'm sorry?
The one, like, one of them you showed last time looked like it was raining.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was supposed to look like. It took me a long time to learn how to draw rain. You can't draw the drops the way they really look, because it never looks like it's raining. It looks like you forgot the big parts of the painting. And in the wintertime, when it's too cold to go out, I take these and I make bigger ones of them. So that keeps me busy. Right now, I probably have 4 or 5 of these books that are completely full of artwork. Then I'm going to do bigger someday.
Are you going to paint a mural?
Huh?
Are you going to do a mural of it?
I'm not sure. A lot of times when I start doing artwork, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. Do you have that problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
I don't know.
How many of you are artists? That's what I thought. This is your work, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You know who Pablo Picasso was? You ever hear of him? He was a very, very famous artist in the 1940s, and he was still famous in the 1970s. He had a quote that I always remembered. He said it took him 4 years of school to learn how to paint like an adult, and 20 years of practice to learn how to paint like a child again. And judging from the artwork I see here, a lot of you are doing the artworks, these all together. This is what you would see in a gallery, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, that adults are trying to do, but they can't quite get back to doing it. Once you learn the rules of art, it's very hard to go back and not worry about the rules of art. And when you're a kid, you can do anything you want and nobody's going to tell you you can't. You're so lucky right now to be able to be artists. When I do pastels, I'm really messy. I usually don't dress this nice when I go out and do pastels, because I have clothing that I don't care about anymore because I smear them all over myself. And in fact, hopefully I won't do this in front of the camera, but a lot of times when I'm painting, I go into the mirror and I have pastel smears on my face, and on my arms, on my nose. Sometimes, you know, a little red here, a little blue there. So I'm really not neat, but it's a lot of fun to paint that way. I don't have to worry about it. I think what I'm going to do is put this up here so I can look at it. And I'll start out with the really old pastel set. One of the hardest parts is choosing the first color I want to use. What color do you use to begin with?
Yellow.
You.
Blue.
How about you?
Red.
Okay, how about you?
Green.
Okay. One more.
Pink.
All right.
Black.
Blue. Red. How about that green? Is that a good green?
Yeah.
Green. Easter egg pink. The style I'm using right now is called Impressionism, which really wasn't a style of artwork. People in the newspaper started calling it that, and the name stuck for some reason. The people that were the Impressionists did not like the name. Okay. When I'm doing artwork, in the beginning, I always try to think where I put my colors. Notice I started with blue here. At this point, I always try to get some of the other color down in front, because if you just do all of one color, people just look at that one color and they don't look at the rest of the painting. So I always try to get other spots of it done. Does anyone know what happens if you mix blue and yellow together?
Green.
Okay. There's an artist named Barry Monohon, and he said that you never can have too much yellow in a painting. And I believe it. Do you know what happens when you mix black and yellow together?
It makes black and yellow. Right?
You get green.
You get green?
Yeah, I didn't know that for a long time. I discovered it by accident.
Okay. It makes like a dark green.
This is just a start. A lot of artists that do pastel works don't think you're supposed to use your fingers, but that's the closest thing I have. It works better. You just don't eat while you're doing this, especially chocolate, because it's hard to tell, you know, what the pastel and what the chocolate is. Okay, I have a start. One of the hardest parts of doing a landscape like this, an artwork in a landscape, is to make it look like it didn't take any effort at all. Make it look like you did it in 4 minutes. One this size I would usually work on for a day or 2, off and on. I would set it aside, take it outside, look at it, stand across the room, look at it, spray it. This is called spray fixative. It's what I use when I'm working the artwork in stages. It separates the bottom pastel and the top pastel. So when you do that, you don't get real smeary, and you can keep working on it and keep the lines real straight and crisp. And then toward the end, you can rub it in and blend it, and then I use the spray that I put on the other one, the one that's made with milk. I won't use this just smells really, really bad. And even when I go outdoors and I spray with it, I hold my breath. And I make sure the wind isn't coming toward me.
So you don't stink like it?
Huh?
So you don't stink like it?
No, so I don't breathe it into my lungs. It's toxic. This is the only good thing about being an adult and doing art is you can use stuff like this and you learn how to use it. A lot of people don't know how to use it though, and they spray it in their mouth or in their eyes, and then they can't see for a while. You don't do it in Nebraska wind. You can, for soft pastels, take a paper towel, hold it in triangles, not quite as much fun as fingers, but it works. And when you have a little color on it, you can put it in other spots of your painting like that. Notice the pink and the blue's making a little purple?
Mm-hmm.
You know, one thing really nice about Nebraska is it has big, pretty skies in the summer, and you don't always have to paint them blue. You can make them other colors if you want.
The sun goes down.
You know what? You can always make up your own sky. You could paint it bright green if you wanted to.
So you could paint it.
I painted mine purple.
Or green. Brown.
Or brown. Actually, sometimes the sky is brown.
The sunset can turn it brown.
On real hazy days in the winter, when the sun tries to come through the clouds and it can't all the way come through, it sometimes turns brown.
I like the sunset and the sunset.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I like sunsets any time of the year.
Me too. There's a blue one that didn't look like it because it didn't have the right colors.
This is sort of a whitish gray. It's a strange color. I haven't decided if I like it yet. Yes?
Well, sometimes the sky does turn green and there's going to be a tornado.
Yes, it does. The painting I did of rain has this real dark cloud in the back. I have another one that I did before that, and the whole side of the sky turns from dark blue to dark green. and in the middle of the cloud I put red.
Cool.
And I don't know if the cloud is red or not, but it looks really, really scary when you do that.
Ooh.
Now here's another one of those times where you have to just stop and think about what color you really want to use. You know, I think it's time that I work on the trees in the back because I'm not through with this guy yet. And if you get bored with doing part of a picture when you're drawing it, do another part, or even you can do 2 or 3 pictures at the same time. You get tired of one, work on another one.
Same thing I do.
There's an artist named David Hotton in England that takes 10 large canvases and stacks them on top of each other. And if he doesn't like the way one's working, he'll take it off and put a new canvas on and paint over it. And he makes one big, huge artwork out of his from his studio from that. So you can work on a lot of different things at one time. I usually do. In my art studio at home, I probably have maybe about 60 or 70 artworks that I started 20 or 30 years ago that I get bored with. I don't finish. One day, I go back, I'll pick it up, and I'll start working on it again. It looks completely different than what I thought it was supposed to when I started, but it worked after that long.
Looks like purple. It looks like a purplish.
Is it what? This?
Yeah, it looks like a
It's just it's a pastel. It looks like chalk because of the shape they make them in. But this is a pastel. This is one that's made out of wallpaper paste and talcum powder.
It looks like bluish purple.
Yeah, it's blue. I can't remember the German word. It's supposed to be blue violet. But there are so many different countries that make pastels that have their own idea of what a color should look like. Because I have a set that are made in Holland, and the set that was made in Holland, their blue violet is more like that color. Okay, we'll see how fast I can work with my other pastels. These are the expensive pastels now that I'm using. They make a completely different type of mark on them. Got my yellow tree. The nice thing about these is you can use them flat, paint really thick areas of pastel at the same time. These are called durable strokes. That's how I started.